I don't know about you, but when I hear the phrase financial planning, it just makes me want to take a snooze. I imagine reams of paperwork, looking at spreadsheets until my eyes cross, and all these formulas that just don't really apply to me. Have you ever felt that way? Well, the good news is that financial planning doesn't have to be boring and make you want to take a nap. In fact, it can actually feel good. And in today's episode of Financial Freedom Friday, I'm going to tell you exactly how to make financial planning feel good. Hi, I'm Kate Northrup, author of Money, a Love Story. Untangle your financial woes and create the life you really want. You've probably heard the Benjamin Franklin quote, "By failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail." The same thing is true when it comes to our financial lives. And the truth is, a lot of our big dreams and goals come with a price tag. If we want to get where we're going in life, it's a pretty good idea to have a plan in place to do it. So that's why financial planning is important. But so often we shy away from it, we avoid it because it feels like it feels boring, it feels limiting, it feels like this doesn't even apply to me. I'll never forget the first time I met with a financial planner. It was in Rockefeller Center in New York City, and I felt like such a grown-up. I put on a special outfit, I went in there with all of my numbers, I felt so on top of things. I sat down with that financial planner and began to talk about my own financial future. And what really annoyed me about the conversation is that he was asking me all these questions and plugging me into equations that didn't have anything to do with my dreams, my desires, and my emotions. We've been taught that finances are logical. You know, it's just A plus B equals C, it's black and white, it's just numbers and equations. But that is not true. Money is deeply emotional. Money means something different to everybody because money is just a stand-in for what we value. And what we value has to do with our emotions. It just is. When it comes to financial planning, it's a deeply personal experience, just like our emotions are. So bringing our emotions to the table is actually critical for successful financial planning. I'm going to say that again. Bringing our emotions to the table when we're doing financial planning is actually critical for us to be able to get where we want to go. Money is an inherently emotional topic, and it should be because money is all about what we value. So what do our values and our emotions have to do with financial planning? It turns out they have everything to do with financial planning if you want to do financial planning that actually feels good. I'm going to give you a 4-step simple exercise for you to identify your values so that you can then organize your finances around those key elements for your own joy and fulfillment. Are you ready? You might want to grab a journal to do this exercise. Step 1, identify your top 3 peak emotional experiences. They might be the day your first child was born, the day you graduated from college, the moment you got engaged, or they could be something far more simple like sitting on a beach and feeling a tremendous sense of calm. But whatever they are, the first 3 that come to your mind are the ones to go with. Step 2, write out or talk out, if you have a partner to do this with, your top 3 emotional peak experiences using as many emotion words and adjectives and descriptors as possible. Really take yourself back to that moment of time and feel what it felt like to have that peak emotional experience using as many emotion words and descriptors as you can. Step 3, go through that writing or ask your partner who's written down all of your emotion words and identify by circling what are the key emotion words that show up time and time again, or the key values. So for example, you might have some key experiences that all have to do with being surrounded by people you love and feeling a sense of connection. So that would be a really important clue that if those are all in common with your peak experiences, that community, connection, those are important values to you. So you'll want to put on a separate piece of paper under values, community or connection, or whatever word really feels true for you. If you're not sure what I mean by values, you can do a quick Google search and find some common values there like health, family, connection, creativity, spirituality, and the environment. Those would be some key values, things that are important to you. Step 4, whittle down your list of values to the top 3 to 5 that really feel important to you. I know for me, a sense of connection and community is critical. Joy and joyful experiences, fun, those are all really important to me. And I know that for me, I wouldn't be able to live happily without those things. So that's a great question to ask yourself as you're whittling down. Could I live happily and fulfilled without this thing? If the answer is no, it's probably a really important value for you. Now, what's next is to align your financial life with your values. Money is just a stand-in for what we value. So if we're spending willy-nilly all over the place, having nothing to do with what we value and not thinking about and clicking into that interior sense of this is important to me, we're misusing our money. My thought on that is that when we don't spend in alignment with our values, that's what gets us all screwed up. That's what gets us into debt. That's what gets us into unconsciousness. That's what gets us into financial situations that we feel bad about because we're not spending money on things we actually value in a conscious way. Now that you know your top 3 to 5 values, all you have to do is make financial decisions in alignment with those things. It's so simple. One of the most important aspects of financial planning is getting your current financial behavior in line with the financial reality you'd like to have in the future. For example, if you know you want to buy a house and that's important to you, perhaps you've identified that one of your values is security and a beautiful and beauty in your environment, so that maybe you want to buy a house. So what you need to do is align your financial choices each and every day with the value of home and beauty so that you can work towards that goal in the future, but also enjoy spending in alignment with your values in the present. Remember, money is just a stand-in for what we value. So what you want to do is vote for what you value with your dollars. Knowing your values makes all kinds of decision making so much easier because it becomes very clear, oh, I'm not going to buy those shoes because they're not in alignment with my value for security and being surrounded by beauty in my home. That might not be in alignment in that moment, and then you know very easily, that's not something I'm going to buy. I'm not going to vote for that with my dollars. And remember, so often we piss away the present moment in honor of our future. And then what ends up happening is you get to this moment where you're supposed to achieve the goal and it's supposed to be all perfect and happy, and you have a deep, profound sense of, is this all there is? Financial planning that feels good has to do with enjoying the journey as well as enjoying the destination. And so when you get your values clarified and identified and then line up your spending choices with those values, you get to both enjoy the journey and you get to celebrate like crazy once you get to those key financial goals and milestones. There's a great quote by Alan Watts that says, "No valid plans can be made for the future by those who have no capacity for living in the now." So remember your values each and every day. I recommend getting them on a 3x5 note card and laminating them so you can look at them when you're making your financial decisions. When you know what your values are, decision making becomes so much easier. It's such a relief. So be sure to go through that 4-step exercise I gave you. Identify your values and then plan your financial life in accordance to those values by not only spending in the moment only on things that you value and not on things that you don't value, and then by making plans in the future based on your dreams and desires and goals that are aligned with your values. When you do that, everything gets lined up and your financial life works so well, I promise. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Financial Freedom Friday. If you want more goodies, you can go over to moneyalovestory.com and you can grab your copy of Money, a Love Story, where you'll find lots more goodies just like what I've been talking about in these videos. Be sure to like this video below, subscribe to my channel on YouTube so you don't miss another episode, and share it with your friends. See you next time on Financial Freedom Friday.